Tell. Hello students, so welcome to SGC online classes. Today let me start with lecture number 4 on principles of inheritance and variation. In the previous class I was telling you about various terminologies related to genetics. Just recall these terminologies, very important one, and in your NCERT book also, as the second question, these terminologies were asked. You may recall what is called as a gene, what is called as an allele or allelomorph, loci or locus, you may be remembering. What are homologous chromosomes, I told you in the previous classes. In addition to that, we have seen what is called homozygosity and heterozygosity. Homozygosity refers to a condition in which two similar alleles of a character are present in the pair of homologous chromosomes. If both paternal and maternal chromosomes have similar alleles in them, then it is called homologous condition. Homozygous condition, I am sorry. Similarly, heterozygous condition refers to two dissimilar alleles of a particular character present in the homologous pair of chromosomes. Dissimilar alleles. We have seen what is a dominant allele, what is a recessive allele, what is phenotype, what is genotype, what is monohybrid cross, dihybrid cross, like that. Various points we have discussed in the previous class. Even I was telling you about a Mendelian experiment with reference to a monohybrid cross. In today's class, let me explain you about various theories proposed by Mendel based on his monohybrid cross. Based on his experiment, how many laws of inheritance he proposed, that we are going to check here. Before going in detail, just recall that point in half minute. When Mendel crossed a tall plant, tall pea plant with a dwarf pea plant, in F1 generation he got all tall varieties only. There is no dwarfness produced in the F1 generation, and all the offsprings of first generation were tall only. This is that there is no dwarfness. There comes a question, why dwarfness did not appear even if it was taken in the first parent. For the second generation, the F1 offspring were used as parents for the second generation. Two such tall plants were crossed with each other. When two such tall plants were crossed, I am using the word such, that means two tall F1 offsprings were crossed for second generation. In the second generation, he got both tall and dwarf varieties in 3:1 ratio. Remember this point. So, this is the monohybrid cross outline done by the Mendel, we can say. How to understand this one? Here there are two questions. One is, why dwarfness did not appear in the first generation? And the second one is, how could it reappear in the second generation, even though it was not taken as a parent in the for the second generation. It was not taken as the parent, but still it has appeared in the second generation. How could it appear? These are the two questions. For this, there is a conventional method for explaining the monohybrid cross. Let us use some symbols and some more explanation for understanding this cross. So there are some symbols conventionally, traditionally some symbols are used for understanding the mechanism of monohybrid cross. What is that means? Let us consider here the parents we are taking. The parents taken for the monohybrid cross in pea plant is, one of them is tall, another one is called as dwarf. Let us consider this is the male parent, this is the female parent. Let us consider. And the second step we can remember here is regarding genotype of the parent. Genotype of the parent I am writing as the second point here. When we write the genotype of a tall parent, remember we are putting two capital T's here. Tallness let me express as capital T, and this T capital T indicates dominant allele. Why dominant? Because in the F1 generation, tallness only has appeared, dwarfness has been hidden. So this tallness appeared means this is the first dominant allele. For dominant character, let us put a capital letter, capital alphabet. So capital T we are taking. Here one doubt may arise, that is, why should we take two capital T's for the tall plant? Why there must be two capital T? There can be only one capital T for this. That means the parents are diploid in nature. You have to remember. The parents are diploid in nature. Only gametes will be haploid in nature. For a diploid organism, there will be two factors. As according to law of unit characters proposed by Mendel, we have seen that for every character, an organism will have two alleles. So here two alleles, two we are putting. Let us imagine in another way, one of the capital T has come from the male's father, another capital T has come from his mother, we can say. Paternal of this male, maternal of this male, both you have to write. So we have to write two capital T's in this condition. What is the genotype for the dwarf parent means? Here dwarf parent will be written as two small t, let us write here. Again, why small letter, why the lower case letter here means? This small t refers to recessive condition because it has not appeared in the F1 generation or first generation. So I am using the word F1 generation here. The word F1 refers to filial generation, it can be called. First generation means F1 generation. Second generation means F2, it can be called. So in the F1 generation, dwarfness did not appear. When it did not appear, it must be recessive. Okay, it is a recessive or hidden gene, we can say. For that recessiveness, we use the lowercase letter, otherwise small t here. So dwarfness is written as small t. Again the question, why there must be two small t? Only one small t can be enough. Means, again remember, it is also a diploid individual only. From her mother, she would have got one small t. From her father, she might have got one small t. Here in the sense, P plant, let us consider here. So from its paternal small t, maternal small t has come here. So you have to write a genotype of the parent in diploid condition. Parental genotype will be always diploid. Let us come to the third step in this experiment, that is regarding gametes. What are the gametes produced by these individuals? Gamete means male parent will produce antherozoid, is it not? If at all it is a plant. In animals they will produce sperms. So here antherozoids are produced by male parent. And the egg will be produced by the female or ovum will be produced by the female. Now remember, antherozoids are produced in pollen grain. You may recall that point. Even in second lesson you might have studied microsporogenesis. Formation of microspore, otherwise pollen grain can be called as microsporogenesis. Here pollen grain will carry the antherozoa. Now remember, during microsporogenesis, meiosis will take place. Is it or not? Meiosis will take place. Due to meiosis, haploid condition will become diploid condition. That is what we are going to write in the gametes. Genotype of the parents are diploid, but due to meiosis, gametes will become haploid. Remember, gametes should be haploid in number. Now, out of two capital T's, due to meiosis, reduction, division, one capital T will go to one of the gametes and another capital T will go to another gamete. So, two antherozoids are produced. For example, I am telling, when the antherozoids are produced, they will be having capital T in one side and another capital T here. They become haploid. Parents are diploid After meiosis, during gamete formation, they will produce haploid gametes. For representing haploid, I am putting only one capital T here, and that capital T is usually circled. So gametes should be circled in order to differentiate them from the normal genotype. Let us come to the female parent here. In female parent, you may be remembering megasporogenesis, where again meiosis takes place. During that meiosis, again here also meiosis will be taking place, and they will produce the ovum. The ovum will be containing one small t here, another small t here. So these are the gametes. Gametes are haploid. Parental genotype is diploid. Try to get this point. This is the gamete formation. That is the third step. I wrote about parent, whose characters we have taken as the first point. Then I told you about a genotype. Now I am telling about the gametes formed by the parents. Again repeating this, genotype is diploid, whereas gamete is haploid. Haploid means only one allele. Diploid means two alleles, one paternal and one maternal, like that. What is the next step in the reproduction? That is known as fertilization. After the formation of gametes, fertilization will be taking place in this condition. What is fertilization? Fusion of male and female gametes is called as fertilization. Remember, these two are male gametes with capital T. These two are female gametes with a small t. So, fusion of male gamete with female gamete to form a zygote is called fertilization. Let me represent this here. This is one male gamete having capital T. It is fusing with this female gamete having small t. Remember, what will be the resulting offspring? It will be having capital T, small t here. So the resulting zygote will be having capital T and small t. Let me write that as first generation offspring. After fertilization, we get offspring. Those offsprings will be again diploid in nature. Remember, in this diploid nature, one is paternal, another one is maternal. This is given by anthrozoid, this is given by ovum. So it becomes a diploid offspring, F1 offspring, capital T, small t. What about the fusion of this male gamete with this female gamete? Remember, if these two gametes join, that will also result in capital T, small t, genotype only. It is called genetic makeup. So it is genotype, we can say. Similarly, remember, there is a chance for this male gamete to fuse with this female gamete also. You cannot say that this capital T should join with this capital T, small t only. It can join with this small t also. So this capital T may join with this capital C, small t also. There is a chance for that. It is a probability. So there is a probability of this male gamete to fuse with this female gamete also. That will result in capital T, small t, we can write. Similarly, this male gamete may fuse with this female gamete also. Try to understand these drawings. And here also there is a fusion of male and female gamete. So this male gamete has got two chances. Either to fuse with this small t or with this small t. Or this capital T can fuse with either this one or this one. Now this is also resulting with capital T, small t. Try to observe, analyze this point. All of them are having capital T, small t only. When all of them are having capital T, small t, even I told you in the first generation, all the offsprings are tall only. We have seen, isn't it? All of them are tall only. There is no dwarfness produced. So, we can say that all these offsprings are tall only. No dwarfness has been produced. According to experiment, our explanation should be there. It is not that according to, we cannot say that capital T, small t means it will be intermediate height. It will be a medium height like that. It is tall only because Experimentally, tall only was produced. So what is happening in the experiment, that has to be explained. Not according to our explanation, pea plant will reproduce. Try to get this point. So all of them are tall only in the F1 offspring. Let us consider now what happens in the F2 generation or in the second generation. This is the first generation reproduction. 5 steps have to be remembered. The first step is parental phenotype. Morphologically, how they look like, tall and dwarf. Second step is genotype, their genetic makeup. Third, and when you write the genetic makeup, remember it should be diploid in nature. Third step is gamete formation. During gamete formation, meiosis takes place. So the gametes will have haploid condition only. So only one small capital T or one small t you have to write. Fourth step is fertilization. The male gamete can fuse with female gamete, randomly or according to probability. So anyway, these 4 possibilities are there. Out of these 4 possibilities, whatever offsprings are produced, all of them will be tall only. So all the F1 offsprings are tall in nature. I hope you got this point. This is the first generation we can see. Still I did not tell about this part of the experiment. The second generation we are going to discuss here. When we go for second generation, again you have to follow the 5 steps. Let me write for second generation what are the parents. Remember, again parents are F1 offspring will become the parents for F2 generation. Not a new parent you are taking. Offsprings only will become the parent for next generation. So this one can be taken as a parent. This one can be taken as a parent. So this is also tall. This is also tall. So for F2 generation, we take 2 tall individuals. Try to analyze this point. For first generation, tall and dwarf were taken. So I told you the genotype and everything. For second generation, F1 offspring will become the parent for F2 generation. Who are the F1 offspring? All are tall only. So 2 tall varieties I took. What is the genotype of these tall varieties? This time remember, what is the genotype of this tall parent? These are the tall parents. This is capital T small t, capital T small t. We can write like this. This is becoming the genotype. Do you get this point? Why there are 2 alleles we are writing? Because one is paternal, another one is maternal. So both you are writing here capital T small t, capital T small t. Here for tallness I took capital T, capital T. Here I am taking for the same tallness I am writing capital T small t. Try to get this point. We can call this as homozygous tall because both the alleles are similar. This can be called as heterozygous tall because 2 different alleles. Paternal has given capital T, maternal has given, condition has given small t. So we are writing like this. What is the next step? Gamete formation. Third step will be formation of gametes. Gamete formation will involve meiosis. I told you, reduction, division. So, out of 2 alleles, one will come to one gamete, another allele will come to another gamete. We can call them as male gametes because if you take it as a male and this one as female, this will become the male gamete. Let us see here what happens. Capital T will become one gamete, another small t will become another gamete. So they have, what is that, become N, haploid in nature. This is haploid. Genotype is diploid. What is the next step? Fourth step involved here, fertilization. We can say fertilization. Fusion of male and female gamete is called fertilization. They will fuse randomly. So random fusion of male and female gamete is called fertilization. Let us consider here this capital T fuses with this capital T. It can happen. Similarly, this capital T can fuse with this one. There is a chance. So these 2 will give rise to capital T small t. Sorry, capital T here, and here capital T small t will be formed. When we consider these 2 it will also become capital T, small t. Either you can write it as small t, capital T, or capital T, small t can be written. Okay, both are same only. That is we are writing here. If what about this one means? It will become small t condition like this. Try to understand the offsprings, F2 offspring. They can be called as second generation offspring, or otherwise second filial generation. First filial generation are here, second filial generation are here. But we wrote only about their genetic makeup, how they will appear phenotypically. What is the second generation offspring? Morphologically. Please listen. When they have capital T, this will become a tall individual only. Because we know that capital T is for tallness. When they have capital T, small t, this will also be a tall individual only. Because, okay, this is also a tall individual only. We will say why it is so afterwards. And here capital T, small t, again it will become tallness only. But remember, small t is there. Where the dwarfness is there, here this is the one individual which is becoming dwarf in this condition. Dear students, you can observe this. There are 3 tall varieties in the F2 offspring and 1 dwarf variety in the F2 offspring. That is why Mendel told them as a 3:1 ratio. 3:1 is the ratio of what is that, monohybrid cross. 3 individuals are tall and only 1 individual is dwarf. Or otherwise, I can say that 3/4 of them are tall individual. 3/4 out of 4 individuals, 3 of them are tall. 1/4 is a dwarf individual. Remember this point. Is it or not? 1/4. Only one out of the 4 is the dwarf individual here. So 3/4 are tall varieties, 1/4 are dwarf varieties. One more point is the 3/4 can be written as 75%. 1/4 can be written as 25% here. Now let me tell you one interesting point. The ratio 3:1 is considered as phenotypic ratio of this monohybrid cross. This ratio is considered as phenotypic ratio of a monohybrid cross. Why phenotypic ratio? Only morphologically you can see 3 of them are tall, 1 of them is dwarf. But internally if you see means genetic makeup of this offspring, if you observe means, you can observe one interesting point. Out of 3 talls, 1 tall offspring is homozygous tall, you can understand. One of them exhibit homozygosity. What is homozygosity? The condition in which 2 similar alleles are present in this case. So here both are capital T. So you can say it as homozygous tall. Out of 3 tall varieties, this is heterozygous tall. Is it not heterozygosity? This is also heterozygous tall. So I can say that out of 3 tall, 1 is homozygous tall, 2 are heterozygous tall. Is it or not? 2 of them are heterozygous tall, we can say. And the last one, dwarfness, if you see means, it is always homozygous. Small t, 2 similar alleles. Then they are always homozygous only. There cannot be a heterozygous dwarf. Why? If you put a capital T here, it will become tall only. So, only one is homozygous dwarf, we can say here. Homozygous dwarf. When you call 3:1 as the phenotypic ratio, I can say that 1:2, 2:1 as genotypic ratio for this monohybrid cross. This is called as genotypic ratio. What is genotypic ratio? Genotype means genetic makeup. Out of 3 tall individuals, 1 is genetically made up as homozygous, 2 are genetically made up as heterozygous. So 1 is to 2, that will be nothing but a 3. And the last one, this one is a homozygous dwarf, we can say. So phenotypic ratio of a monohybrid cross is 3 is to 1. Genotypic ratio of a monohybrid cross is 1 is to 2 is to 1. What is genotype? Genetic makeup. What is genetic makeup? Whether they are homozygous or heterozygous, we can identify here. Just recall this point, second step also here. For each generation, I am making 5 steps. Don't forget those steps. If you skip any step, you will get confused. What are those 5 steps? Parents, then genotype of the parent, then gametes, then fertilization, then offspring. So parents are there, genotype of the parent, gametes are formed, then fertilization, and finally offsprings are produced. What is the difference between genotype of the parent and gametes formed by them? Genotype of the parent will be diploid, whereas gametes formed by them will be haploid. Why haploid it has come? Because of meiosis. So the parent has undergone meiosis, it has produced haploid gamete. Now we are getting capital T, small t like that, and finally we are getting a ratio of 1 is to 2 is to 1 as genotypic ratio, whereas 3 is to 1 as the phenotypic ratio. Now let us find out whether it is possible to answer these 2 questions based on this experiment. What are the 2 questions formed by Mendel? Why dwarfness did not appear in the first generation, even though it was taken as a parent? What is the second question? How dwarfness could reappear, even though it was not taken as a parent? It was not taken as a parent, but still it has come in the F2 generation. Let us go for the first question here. What is that? Why dwarfness did not appear? Please listen. Dwarfness is represented by small t. That small t has come here in the F1 offspring. All of them are having small t. But in spite of having small t, they did not exhibit morphologically. The small t is hidden by capital T. Remember this point. Are you getting this point? Capital T will dominate over the small t. Small t is not allowed to express, or it is not being able to express. So only capital T is expressing here. When that condition is explained by Mendel with the help of law of dominance. Remember this, in monohybrid cross, first generation offspring will exhibit, will show you, will explain law of dominance. What is law of dominance? Let me tell you that law. Very important, one more question. What is that law of dominance means? When 2 different alleles of a particular character are brought together in a hybrid, only one of them will be expressed morphologically and another one will be suppressed. The allele which is expressed is called as dominant allele, and the allele which is suppressed is called as recessive allele, and this phenomenon of inheritance is called dominance, inheritance of dominance character. So this phenomenon is called as law of dominance. Shall I repeat it? Listen here. When 2 different alleles of a particular character, capital T and small t are 2 different alleles. They are belonging to a particular character called height. So when 2 different alleles of a particular character are brought together in a hybrid, only one will be expressed morphologically and another one will be suppressed. You are getting both capital T and small t, but you will show only capital T. You will exhibit morphologically only tallness. Dwarfness is there, but it is not allowed to express. So what is happening here? Capital T must be somehow dominating the small t. Capital T must be somehow not allowing the small t to get expressed. That is called law of dominance. The allele which is expressed is called dominant allele. The allele which is not expressed is called recessive allele. And this phenomenon is called as law of dominance. So that is the first law proposed by Mendel according to genetics. Yesterday in the previous class I was telling you about law of unit character. That law of unit character is not considered as a special law for genetics because it is common in all the organisms. Every diploid organism will have two factors. That is law of unit character. It can be considered as a statement. In many of the genetics textbook, it is considered as a statement only, not as a law of inheritance. It is a normal statement, biological statement, which says that a diploid organism will have two factors. So those two factors can be either one is from paternal, another one is from maternal. They can be similar or they can be dissimilar. These are all various statements we are getting in the beginning. But when you talk about the inheritance pattern, here you can see both of them are inherited by the offspring. Capital T is also inherited, small t is also inherited. But what happened to small t? It is not allowed to get expressed. Only capital T is expressed. This point is called law of dominance. We can say. You can say now, why dwarfness did not appear in the F1 generation? Means it was dominated by tallness. The allele of dwarfness has been dominated by the allele of tallness. Capital T has dominated the small t. So that is why it is not expressed. Okay, so why it has not been expressed? Because it was dominated by capital T. That is the main concern, law of dominance proposed by Mendel. Let us go to the second question. How the dwarfness appeared in the F2 generation? It was not taken as a parent. You see, here also we took both tall only. Two tall only we took. But here 25% dwarfness has been produced. How could dwarfness appear here? That is the important question. Listen to me again. You see, if you analyze this chart, we can find that gamete formation plays an important role for the appearance of dwarfness. Imagine this point. Small t is not allowed to express in F1 generation, okay, but it was allowed to separate from capital T during gametogenesis. In the second generation, small t could separate from the capital T and become a separate gamete, and that is responsible for the formation of dwarfness. Imagine if a small t does not be able to separate, imagine what will happen. You will not get a chance of two small t meeting each other. There won't be fertilization between one small t, paternal small t and maternal small t. It is possible, it was made possible because there is a chance of separation between capital T and the small t. The alleles of the two different alleles of same character, remember that point, the two different alleles of same character will separate during gametogenesis and become separate gametes or enter into separate gametes. Capital T will separate, small t will separate. They will become different. When it is becoming independent or when it is becoming free, it is able to randomly fuse with small t. It has got a chance to either join with capital T or to join with small t. When the chance happens with small t, it will become a dwarf parent. So how is it possible? Due to separation of allele at the time of gametogenesis. How dwarfness reappeared? because it separated from capital T when during gametogenesis. This is another law proposed by Mendel. What is that second law? It is called as law of segregation, we can say. Law of segregation. Remember the word segregation. Segregation means separation. The alleles of a particular character, whether they are in homozygous or heterozygous, they will separate during gametogenesis and enter into different gametes. That will make them to express dwarfness or recessive character in the F2 generation. So please remember, whatever character has been expressed in the F1 generation, that is dominant only. Who is getting expressed in F1? Dominant. Recessiveness does not get a chance to express in F1 generation. But recessiveness can express in F2 generation at least for 25%. How is it possible? Because it is able to separate, it is able to segregate during the gametogenesis. So, what is law of segregation? During gametogenesis, alleles of the same character, we are talking about height only, never I took any other character. Tall and dwarf both are belonging to height only. So, alleles of same character will separate during gametogenesis and enter into different gamete. That will give them a chance to express in the second generation, or that will give them a chance to express phenotypically. I hope you got this point. Two laws we are talking. One is law of dominance, another one is law of segregation. Let me repeat the law of dominance again. When two different alleles representing a particular character are brought together in a hybrid, only one of them will be expressed phenotypically and another one will be suppressed. The allele which is expressed is called a dominant allele. The allele which is suppressed is called a recessive allele, and this phenomenon is called law of dominance. Let me repeat it. When two different alleles of a particular character, that means capital T and small t are two different alleles, they belong to a character called height. When two such different alleles are brought together in a hybrid, F1 hybrid, only one of them will be expressed and another one will be suppressed. That is called as what? Law of dominance. What is law of segregation? The two different alleles of the same character will separate from each other during gametogenesis. Don't forget to write the word gametogenesis. If you don't write gametogenesis, you will not get mark. So when they are separating, they separate during gametogenesis. While gamete formation is taking place, whether it is microsporogenesis or megasporogenesis, there will be separation of alleles. When alleles separate from each other, both of them will have a chance to express themselves. I hope you are getting this point. Just in a normal example, if I want to tell you means, consider capital T as teacher and small t as student. When both are there in the class, the teacher is there, student is also there, means the students will not talk, teacher will be talking. That is called as what is that? Dominating, and students are not there. Suppose here you see, when bell rings, teacher will go away and student will go away, or they will be separating. Then students will start expressing, they will start talking. That's the nature, okay? They will start talking again. So, as long as small t is with capital T, it will not express. When it get a chance to separate, it will be expressing itself. So that separation is called segregation. When does that segregation takes place? It occurs during gametogenesis. During gametogenesis, the two alleles of a character, whether they are similar or dissimilar, they will separate from each other and enter into different gametes. That is called law of segregation. Of course, now due to corona, students are not at all there. Okay, only teacher is dominating. Only one is talking. Capital T is going on. Right. This is the monohybrid cross, law of dominance and law of segregation. I told you. I will give you 1 minute time. Please make note of these points. Very important. Don't forget to write the 5 steps: parents, genotype, gametes, fertilization, then offspring. So for each generation, 5 steps are there. Totally for 2 generations, 10 steps I told you. Please make note of this. After 1 minute, I will continue. Okay, students, today we saw about monohybrid cross. You know what is a monohybrid cross? It is a cross between 2 individuals with reference to 1 character. Mono means single, so with reference to single character, we have taken some hybridization crosses. For example, here height is taken as a single character. Okay. What is monohybrid cross? I told you. Secondly, in today's class, you have learnt what is law of dominance. In the previous class, I told you about law of unit characters. But according to some textbook, that unit character is not considered as law, it is considered as a statement. So, factor is the word understood by Mendel rather than genes. So, it is law of dominance, I told you. What is law of dominance? When 2 different alleles are brought together in a hybrid, only one of them will be expressed phenotypically and the other will be suppressed. This is the allele which is repressed is called dominant, the allele which is suppressed is called recessive, and this phenomenon is called law of dominance. I think I did not write the whole definition in the board. You can remember, you can recall this point. I will, what is that? When 2 different alleles are brought together in a hybrid, only one of them will be expressed and the other one will be suppressed. The allele which is expressed is called dominant, the allele which is suppressed is called recessive, and this phenomenon is called law of dominance. I told you also, okay, the third point I told you here is law of segregation. According to law of segregation, all these 2 laws were proposed by Mendel based on his experiment in pea plant. According to law of segregation, the 2 alleles, whether they are similar or dissimilar, of a particular character will separate from each other and enter into different gametes when during gametogenesis. So, during gametogenesis, the alleles of a particular character will separate from each other and enter into different gametes. What is the advantage of separation? So that recessive allele has got a chance to express itself. if at all it meets with another recessive gametes. Are you getting this point? If there is no separation, there is no chance for dwarfness to appear. So how dwarfness reappeared? Because of segregation. Why dwarfness did not appear in the F1 generation? Because of dominance. These are the two major laws proposed by Mendel based on his monohybrid cross. With this, let me stop with this today's class. We shall continue the remaining points about Mendel in the remaining classes. Okay. Thank you. Just try to remember these steps and work out. Let us continue later. Thank you.